candles play, chasing the ghosts of a fading day. The wind, it dances with the sound so bold, silver whispers through the cold. Mountains weep as the notes do climb, a sorrowful hymn that escapes through time. Oh, hear the cries of the rising pipes, feel the strain where the soul collides. A tune that wraps in a tartan shroud, lifting the hearts of the heavy bowed. The valley listens with thirsty hills, quiet falls as the music spills, a thread of past where the future leads, carried afar by these ancient seas. A lone piper stands where the clouds kiss earth, a solitary hymn giving life its worth. Each note a tear for the ones we've missed, echoes that linger through highland mist. Breathing life where silence grows, the pipes unlock what the heart bestows. Eternal words without the sound, heavy hearts they firmly ground. Oh, hear the cries of the rising pipes, feel the strain where the soul collides. A tune that wraps in a tartan shroud, lifting the hearts of the heavy bowed.
All right, good morning, good morning. Couple of technical issues this morning. Some mornings you just know, or sometimes you come in the studio, you just know what it's going to be. You fight through it. So sometimes you're slightly delayed in coming on. But the music is playing. We appreciate that. Good morning. Lord bless you today. It's our first light. And we've got a verse this morning. I mentioned it yesterday in church, and just felt like I should go there today. In Psalms 51, I was preaching on having a right spirit, and we can start out today with a bad spirit, or even end our day with a bad spirit. But this verse today, Psalm 51 in its totality, it's really is a great chapter. And it's David's recognition of his falling before God, his sin before God. People have trouble saying that. My sin, but David owns it, and he claims it. I mean, he doesn't run away for all of his problems that he'd had at times in his walk of faith, like all of us. Times of great successes and times of great failures. He said, my sin is ever before me, in verse number 3. In verse number 10, it says, create in me a clean heart. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. And I wanted to even read more of this yesterday. For sake of time at church, I did, because it was already deep into some scriptures. And this is probably go back to it. And I was listening to even someone last night after church, yesterday afternoon, and they were touching on these same themes and the spirit that we have, and how do we act, how do we, what do we choose to do? Because I mean, it is a choice. David here in Psalm 51, he makes a choice to acknowledge the sin, repent of it, and then seek restoration of fellowship, and God's blessing and favor and all those things that he wanted. So he didn't say create in others. You know, sometimes people look at others. If you could get those other people right, Lord, then I wouldn't have any problem being who I am. And I was using these yesterday in relation, even on Saturday, me and Biscuit Boy, who may pop in, you never know, on live. Sometimes these are recorded, but live this morning. But on Saturday, we were talking about having a right, road rage and making a choice, a conscious choice to have the right attitude, even when others make us angry. And how quickly things can escalate into a bad way in a road rage type incident, or any kind of anger where you feel like someone has disrespected you, or maybe they fully on how. I mean, but how do we respond to that is on us. We can't blame the person. Now, I mean, they may push it to a point we might even have to go hands on. But that still doesn't give us the right to sin, to do things, go beyond what is necessary. And that's that walk of faith. That is that not being in the flesh, but being in the spirit, not having a flesh attitude, but walking the spiritual man. Don't dig up the old man. Don't push him up front. Sometimes, Christians, and I would say we all, so someone might say, I never did that. Well, most Christians. We've had moments where even if we didn't say it, we gave credence to it because we were saying, well, I'm mad right now, or I'm this, so just for this moment, God will just have to understand. God does not understand your sin. He don't want to understand it. He doesn't want you to sin. But we tell ourselves that. We say, well, it's okay. They made me mad. It's like the old Flip Wilson, the devil made me do it defense. Doesn't give us the right. And how far do you go in that? Some of us so far, they're sitting in a jail cell today because in that moment, they claimed their right to be angry to the point of violence. And then and all the people, including themselves around them, suffer. We've had several instances in our area of road rage incidents that resulted in fatalities. And there's a lot of lives destroyed over really foolishness. Honestly, it's just foolishness. Doesn't matter. Does it really matter who was right or who was wrong? When we made a decision, there's been people follow people home, follow them to a parking lot, go after them. At that point, we have made a decision to go into rage, a road rage, and that's what we say. David here, he had a lot of people after him. He had a lot of people angry with him throughout his kingship. For things he did. He sinned, and he had some anger. It destroyed his family to an extent. The sword never left his family. There was damage. He lost a child over his sin. And he says, create in me a clean heart. He recognizes that his heart is dirty, it's sinful, it's nasty, it smells. It's not where he wants to be. He's sick of himself at this point. Create in me a clean heart. He didn't say go after them other people and make them right. He said create in me a clean heart. We got to own it. We have to own our sin. We can't blame the devil. We can't blame others for what we made a conscious choice to do, to exact judgment or to find some level of satisfaction in that we got them back, or we said something, or we did something. And he says, renew in me a right spirit. See, there's a wrong spirit. We were examining yesterday Moses' angry spirit of striking the rock when he wasn't supposed to strike the rock, or maybe even killing a man. James and John telling Jesus, basically those that rejected him, let's just gonna burn them down. Jesus rebuked them. Peter, it was different times where Peter was another one. He's a fireball, a little cusser, a little temper problem, flash temper, maybe that sons of thunder, bring down the thunder, angry, be angry. Some people say you got to watch. I got a temper. You might tell people. You may put people on warning. I've got a temper. Don't. You better hope you never see it. We need to recognize when we say things like that we have a problem and we need to seek guidance for it. And it doesn't mean that we're going to be perfect at it, but the more that we work on it, the better we can push that old man to the point where he just never seen it. We may think about it. We may still have to pray really hard and seek guidance for those things on the inside, but people never see it. When I was young, I had a snap temper, a flash temper, a quick temper, I say. I'm not proud of that. Sometimes I would just explode. It'd be over in 30 seconds. But those of that 30 seconds could be the 30 seconds of violence. How far do you go? How angry do you get? At what level do you lose control? And we have to take those things before the cross and pray for strength so that we will not have those kinds of things. And our kids are watching, other people are watching. If people are tiptoeing around a person because their attitudes, their anger, explosive responses have people walking on eggshells, as we say, then we need to do something about that. That's not acceptable, and we certainly don't need to be bragging about it. Take saying almost like a warning symbol, like a sign on it that says, "Warning: David has a bad temper, a flash temper. Do not say wrong things." It's no way to live. We need to be honest about that, and know that it is a problem. The best of the best that we see in the Bible had a problem with it. The son of Jesus. Most men and women had some sort of problem because they're sinners. So it created me a right spirit. We have to stop. We have to stop. If we're going to pursue somebody, just stop. Count the cost. What are we really trying to? What are we really trying to exhibit? What are we trying to win? What is our motive? Are we chasing them down to say I'm over you? I'm dominant. I got the last word. Well, last words have been put people in bad places. To want the last say, the last word, to win an argument. Really, nobody wins an argument, right? We heard that before. Really, nobody wins. Peace is what wins. Brotherhood, togetherness. I remember a story. I've heard Christians say, "He's a better man than I would never do that." It's almost that bragging point. And I was told, there's a couple of them. I mean, one, I've known of pastors that was trying to win somebody. They were being threatened, but they really had a burden for that person. They threatened them, You come me one more time, I'm going to knock you out. Well, it happened. He still went. The members of Campus Crusade for Christ that was on college campus and, went and were threatened, but they had a burden for them. And they won them over. They won them to cross. So that's winning over we need. And some people say, nah, somebody threatens me or gets smart with me, I'll just, punch them in the mouth. Sure, we may feel like it. Then we got to think of the eternal destination, the eternal equation of this. Where are they headed? If they're an unbeliever, where are they headed? What are we trying to gain with our temper? What are we trying to prove? Now, nobody's suggesting that we take violence or anything like that with anybody. That's not even a part of it. But certainly you do that. But even in that, you can go beyond. There's a point where the response needs to stop, and I always like it when you see nowadays the videos are everywhere. Everybody's filming everything. And you see disagreements and you see people trying to mediate, to be the peacemaker. Jesus said, "Blessed are they, which are of that ilk," to bring peace between parties, just to let the simmer go down, walk away, pray on it. You got to catch yourself, realizing that your anger is rising. Deal with it. It's yours. You don't blame nobody else on what you're feeling. I mean, it's what we allow. And it was not something that I was I look back and I'm like, I wasn't proud of it at the time, but I gave it a pass. Some things just set me off. I put tempered that way. I didn't listen to what I was saying. I wasn't serving the Lord fully those days. That's another thing. We become a follower of Christ, we are constantly working on self, or we should be. That's the biggest mission field we have, is ourselves. Every day is a new opportunity to work on me, to fix, and it's all fixable. If giving Jesus the freedom to do that, there's absolutely nothing that can't be fixed. There's nothing that can't be overcome. There's no addiction, no problem, no sin, no whatever. Jesus is the answer for everything. If we say he is not, we're a liar, because he is an answer for everything. If we're saying that he is not, then what we're saying is, really, I will not let him fix this within me, because he is the answer. Some people say, I just can't stop something. Well, I ain't going to do it in some case. You're going to have Jesus. You've got to ask for his strength, because you can't, but he can. And the more that we are tried, the more that we are, put through the fire, so to speak, the stronger we will become, to the point that something may not even have a grip on us anymore. I've just seen people that, go into violence, and then they try to justify it. I've seen it at work. I've seen it in my life. I've even seen it in church. Seen it in church. I mean, people have quit church. I mean, people have quit a church because they got angry, because somebody said something they shouldn't. And we quit. We quit so easily. And I'm saying this in general terms. So it may not be you, but we quit very easily on things. Too easy. And we just say, that's it, And I've seen people stand up in church and say, me and my family won't be going here no more. And it was all just anger. They were angry at something. In some cases, they did it. In some cases, after prayer and counsel and talking to people, they realized, I don't want to leave. This is my home. I love the people here. I was mad. I was angry. Sometimes they talk about that. Sometimes you just realize, okay, they were now realizing themselves how they were acting. I remember once a person doing that, standing up, and I knew what they were angry about. I was kind of involved, at least my child. And hey, how you doing? I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. God bless you. And I remember when they stood up in church and said that we were leaving. I feel like God is moving me. No, it wasn't God. It was anger. And I remember while they were doing that, I mean, I knew better because I knew the situation. I think most people did. But they had convinced themselves that I just can't go to church here. I was looking at the spouse. I didn't focus on the part. I looked at the collateral. I looked at the spouse who would follow her husband wherever he went. And I saw the brokenness on her. She didn't want to go anywhere. And she realized that she knew he didn't really want to go anywhere. He was just angry. They'll tell him what had been said behind the scenes. And so everybody just, acknowledged it. Sorry. Is there anything we can do? No. There's no problem. And whenever people say that, there usually is a problem. And then they just came back to the next service, and we're going to, a couple more services, and we're going to leave. Well, they just never left. And after a time, it just went away. The peace, the smiles, the happiness, all that stuff come back. And we can do that if we'll take it to the Lord and pray about it. Anyway, that's First Light. These are not meant to be more than about 15 minutes, and I did about 20. So we load them up. On Saturday, we start at 7 live, and we go for a full hour on First Light. I say we because sometimes it's me and Biscuit Boy. Sometimes it's me and Paul and others, or it could be just Paul, or it could be whomever. If you'd like to be a part of First Light, I'd love to have you. It's just meant to be conversational to help. It's not a judgment. It's a help. And I promise you, probably about anything that we talk about over here, I'm guilty of. So I want to help you. We'll be back on in a few minutes with not First Light, with the morning show. And we appreciate you for listening. God bless you. Share these out. We've got some new graphics that are out there, a new banner for the studio for First Light. We're very excited about this program because we know that God can bless it and use it to help others. And hey, we all need help. Amen. We all need some kind of help. And if you got a prayer need or whatever, just email it to us. Email's in the scroll. And pray for our families. We're still grieving the loss of my wife. These things are hard, and we just move forward. Take care. I'm Dave. Have a great Monday. We'll see you on the morning show.
The valley listens with thirsty hills. Quiet falls as the music spills. A thread of past where the future leans, carried afar.